What if I told you that the foods you eat every single day, foods you've trusted your entire life, are quietly enlarging your prostate, disrupting your hormones, and slowly robbing you of your freedom as a man? I'm not talking about rare, exotic ingredients. I'm talking about everyday items sitting in your kitchen right now. And the worst part, no one warned you. Not your doctor, not the commercials, not even the nutrition labels. But the damage is already happening, and if you're over 60, it's happening faster than you think. I'm Dr. James. I've spent over 30 years specializing in men's health, helping thousands of men reclaim their energy, restore their confidence, and avoid unnecessary medications or surgeries. And I'm here to tell you the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be, because you deserve to know what's harming your body from the inside out. You see, the greatest threat to your prostate isn't always age. It's inflammation. It's hormonal disruption. And 6 common foods are fueling both, while most men have no idea. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the exact foods you must avoid, along with the science of how each one leads to prostate growth, urinary issues, and long-term damage. And in the end, I'll show you simple, realistic steps you can take today to start shrinking your prostate naturally, without fear, without confusion, and without waiting for another symptom to strike. Before we get started, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health warning that could protect your prostate and improve your life. If you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and let me know how I can serve you better. Now let's get to the heart of it. If you're serious about protecting your prostate and reducing those uncomfortable symptoms, there's one group of foods we have to address first, and it's one most men never question. The truth is, processed meats like bacon, sausages, deli slices, and hot dogs are doing far more harm than good. Let me explain why this everyday habit could be the very thing enlarging your prostate from the inside out. Food. 1. Processed meats, bacon, sausages, hot dogs, deli meats. Let me start with something that might hit close to home. I can't tell you how many men I've sat across from in my office, good men, fathers, husbands, grandfathers, who told me their morning ritual hadn't changed in decades. Eggs, toast, and a few crispy slices of bacon. Or maybe it's a sandwich at lunch with deli meat or a hot dog at the ball game. They never thought twice about it. Because let's be honest, processed meats are everywhere. They're familiar, they're convenient, and for many, they're tied to memories, comfort, even identity. But here's the truth. No one told us when we were younger. These foods are quietly doing real harm. Not just to your heart or your waistline, but specifically to your prostate. And as someone who's spent over 30 years helping men navigate the realities of aging, I can tell you this without hesitation: processed meats are one of the most dangerous foods for your prostate health. They are not just bad, they are fuel for prostate enlargement. These meats, bacon, sausages, hot dogs, ham, and those sliced deli packages from the grocery store, they're all heavily processed with chemicals like nitrites and nitrates. These substances are used to preserve color and flavor, but once they enter your body, especially as you age and your systems slow down, they can convert into carcinogenic compounds. In simpler terms, they turn toxic inside you. And the prostate, small but incredibly sensitive, is one of the organs most affected by this damage. But the danger doesn't stop at the chemicals. These meats are packed with sodium, far more than your body needs. That excess salt raises blood pressure and causes fluid retention. When your kidneys and urinary system are under constant stress, your prostate feels the pressure too. Over time, this contributes to inflammation, irritation, and yes, physical enlargement of the gland. That's why many men who eat these meats daily experience things like weak urine flow, the constant urge to go, or waking up 3, 4, even 5 times a night to pee. They think it's just getting older, but often it's their diet betraying them. And then there's the fat content, specifically saturated in trans fats, both of which are highly concentrated in processed meats. These fats disrupt your hormonal balance by raising bad cholesterol and altering the delicate interplay between testosterone and DHT. DHT, or dihydrotestosterone, is one of the main hormones responsible for prostate growth. When it's elevated, often due to poor diet, it stimulates the prostate cells to multiply. Slowly, silently, and over time, this can turn a healthy gland into a swollen, inflamed source of discomfort. I've had patients who came to me desperate for relief, men who felt like they'd lost control of their own bodies. And time again, when we cleaned up their diet and removed processed meats completely, things started to change. Not overnight, but gradually. Within weeks, they reported fewer urges, better flow, deeper sleep. And perhaps most importantly, they felt hope again. That's why I say this without hesitation. If you care about your prostate, processed meats must go. This isn't just a gentle suggestion. It's a medical warning. Every strip of bacon or slice of ham may be feeding a problem that's already making your life harder. And I know how hard it is to give up something that feels normal, familiar, even comforting. But what's more comforting than waking up and not having to rush to the bathroom? What's more familiar than the feeling of freedom in your own body? The good news is you don't have to give up flavor or tradition. You can still enjoy a great breakfast or a hearty lunch, just with smarter choices. Fresh, lean meats, eggs from pasture-raised hens, grilled chicken, wild-caught fish, or even plant-based proteins. Real food. Food your body recognizes. Food that helps heal, not harm. Now, if you're thinking, all right, doc, I can cut back on the bacon, that's a powerful first step. But processed meat is only the beginning. There's another common food that's been marketed as healthy for decades, something many older men consume daily, thinking it's helping their bones or digestion. But in reality, it may be pouring fuel on the fire inside your prostate. Let's talk about that next. If you're still here and these insights are resonating with you, go ahead and comment the number 1 below, just so I know you're with me and ready to take control of your health. Now let's continue with the next important point. Food. 2. Excess dairy, milk, cheese, yogurt in large amounts. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. When I was growing up, just like many of you, we were told that milk was nature's perfect food. We were taught that drinking milk made you strong, that cheese built your bones, and that yogurt kept your gut in check. And for years, that message stuck with us. Generations of men have poured milk over their cereal, sliced cheese onto their sandwiches, and ended their dinners with a big glass of dairy, believing it was doing their body good. But here's the hard truth I've come to understand after treating thousands of aging men. Too much dairy is not helping your prostate, it's harming it. In fact, excessive dairy is one of the most overlooked causes of prostate enlargement. And most men have no idea that something so familiar, so healthy, could be quietly working against them. Let's start with the science. Milk and its derivatives naturally contain a compound called IGF-1, short for insulin-like growth factor. It's a hormone-like substance that's supposed to support growth in calves. But in the human body, especially in aging men, it can stimulate abnormal cell growth. And the prostate is particularly sensitive to that kind of signal. When IGF-1 levels are elevated from regular dairy intake, it can trigger the prostate to grow larger, layer by layer, cell by cell. Over time, this can lead to the very symptoms so many men dread: slower stream, constant pressure, interrupted sleep, and the feeling that your bladder never quite empties. But that's just the beginning. There's also the issue of hormonal imbalance. Most commercial dairy today comes from cows that are kept in continuous states of pregnancy. That means their milk contains elevated levels of estrogen and progesterone, female hormones that, when consumed by men, can disrupt your own natural hormone production. This shift can lead to a decline in testosterone and a relative increase in estrogen, throwing off the very balance your prostate relies on to stay healthy and functional. I've seen it time and time again in my clinic. Men who consume milk with every meal, eat large amounts of cheese, and think they're doing themselves a favor. Yet they're the ones waking up 4 or 5 times a night to urinate. They're the ones who sit down and suddenly feel an urge to go again. Their PSA levels are creeping up, their doctors are talking about biopsies, and they're wondering how it all happened so fast. When we reduce the dairy, When we cut back on milk, switch out yogurt for plant-based alternatives, and replace heavy cheeses with lighter, natural options, something changes. Within weeks, the pressure begins to ease. The frequency starts to normalize. Some men even report sleeping through the night for the first time in years, and you can see the look in their eyes when they say it. That glimmer of relief, of hope, like they're getting their life back one step at a time. I'm not saying dairy is evil, but if you're consuming it daily in large amounts and you're over 60, you have to consider the cost. You have to ask yourself whether that glass of milk is worth another night of broken sleep, whether that slice of cheddar is worth the dull, constant pressure below your belly, because the evidence is clear. Too much dairy contributes to prostate growth, and if you want to protect your future, it's time to make a change. Now, some men ask me, "But doc, what about calcium?" And I tell them your bones can get calcium from many other sources. Dark leafy greens, almonds, fortified plant milks. You're not missing out by cutting back. You're giving yourself a chance to heal. So here's my challenge to you. Try going 1 week without dairy. Just 1 week. Swap in almond milk or oat milk. Try coconut-based yogurts. Use avocado or hummus instead of cheese. Notice how your body feels. Pay attention to your sleep, your bathroom habits, your sense of control. And if you do, I think you'll be surprised by how quickly things begin to shift. Now, if you thought dairy was a shock, wait until you hear what's next. It's something even more common, even more socially accepted, and it's been quietly clogging your circulation and inflaming your prostate for years without you ever realizing it. Let's talk about that next. Food. 3. Saturated fat and fried foods. Fast food, fried chicken, fatty cuts of meat. I want to take a moment to talk about something that's probably been a comfort to many of us over the years. A thick, juicy steak, a basket of golden fries, crispy fried chicken just like Mom used to make. For many men, these foods aren't just meals, they're memories. They're tied to backyard barbecues, football Sundays, family dinners, and I understand that, I really do. But at a certain point in life, we have to look beyond nostalgia and convenience and ask ourselves, is this food still serving me or is it silently hurting me? The answer when it comes to saturated fat and fried foods is unfortunately very clear. These foods may feel satisfying in the moment, but they're wreaking havoc on your prostate behind the scenes. I've seen it over and over again. Men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond struggling with an enlarged prostate, increased PSA levels, chronic inflammation, and constant bathroom visits, who never realized that what they were eating every day was fueling the fire. The reason is simple. Saturated fats, like those found in fried foods, greasy burgers, fatty cuts of red meat, and most fast food, don't just sit in your stomach. They circulate through your bloodstream, raising levels of LDL cholesterol and clogging your arteries. But more importantly for your prostate, they disrupt your hormones and create a storm of inflammation inside the body. Inflammation is the foundation of almost every chronic illness, and the prostate is no exception. When inflammation is high, the prostate becomes irritated, swollen, and over time, enlarged. But that's not all. These fats also increase the production of a hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, and DHT is a major player when it comes to prostate growth. The more saturated fat you eat, the more DHT you produce, and the more pressure is placed on your prostate cells to multiply. It happens slowly at first. Maybe you start waking up once or twice a night to urinate, then 3 times. Then you notice the flow is slower, or you feel like you haven't fully emptied your bladder. It creeps in quietly until it becomes your new normal. I remember one of my patients, Carl, a retired postal worker in his late 60s. He came to me frustrated and tired. He told me he hadn't slept through the night in over a year. He felt trapped, constantly scanning for the nearest bathroom, planning his day around his bladder. His diet? Heavy on fried foods, fast food lunches, and weekend cookouts. We worked together to gradually replace those saturated fats with healthier options. Grilled salmon instead of deep-fried fish. avocados and olive oil instead of margarine, a handful of walnuts instead of a bag of chips. Within 6 weeks, Carl looked different. He felt different. He told me, "Doc, I finally slept 6 hours straight and I don't remember the last time I did that." His smile said everything. This is why I urge you from both a medical and personal standpoint to rethink how often these foods appear on your plate. Fried chicken, bacon cheeseburgers, greasy takeout, these are not just guilty pleasures, they are prostate irritants, plain and simple. They cause swelling, increase DHT, and block your body's ability to circulate nutrients where they're needed most. That doesn't mean you can never enjoy food again. It means learning how to enjoy it differently. Choose lean proteins like grilled chicken or turkey. Cook with olive oil instead of butter. Bake instead of deep fry. Use spices and herbs for flavor instead of relying on fat. Your taste buds will adjust, and your prostate will thank you. And if you're still not convinced, consider this. Prostate tissue, once enlarged, doesn't easily shrink on its own. But when you remove the foods that cause it to swell, you give your body the chance to heal, slowly, naturally, and without constant medication. Now, you might be wondering, if fat is that dangerous, what about alcohol? After all, one drink here and there can't be that harmful, right? Well, what I'm about to share with you next may change the way you think about your evening glass of wine or that regular beer you reach for without hesitation. Let's take a closer look. Food. 4. Alcohol, especially beer and liquor in excess. This one might be tough to hear, but it's one of the most important truths I can share with you today. Because for many men, alcohol isn't just a drink, it's a ritual. It's the end-of-day wind down, the weekend celebration, the glass you raise with old friends or sip quietly in the comfort of your own chair. And I get that. Truly, I do. But if you're over 60, and especially if you've been noticing more frequent trips to the bathroom, slower flow, or that constant pressure in your lower belly, then it's time we talk honestly about what alcohol is doing to your prostate. Most men don't realize it, but regular alcohol consumption, particularly beer and hard liquor, can play a direct role in prostate enlargement. I've seen it countless times in my practice. A man comes in with classic symptoms of benign prostatic hyperplasia, getting up multiple times at night, feeling like he can never fully empty his bladder, struggling to start or stop the stream. We run the tests. We talk through his habits. And right there, quietly sitting in his routine, is a nightly drink or 2 or 3 that he never once thought could be part of the problem. Here's why it matters. First, alcohol interferes with your hormones. It lowers testosterone and raises estrogen levels, especially when consumed frequently. That hormonal shift creates the ideal environment for the prostate to grow. Testosterone keeps the prostate regulated, but when alcohol diminishes that balance, the gland begins to respond abnormally. It swells, and over time, that swelling becomes a chronic issue. Second, alcohol is an irritant to both the bladder and the prostate. It inflames the tissues. It increases urgency. It makes the muscles in the urinary tract work harder than they need to. That's why even after just 1 or 2 drinks, some men notice they're urinating more often or waking up more at night. The body sees alcohol as a toxin, and the urinary system is working overtime to flush it out. And third, alcohol causes dehydration. Most men underestimate how much water they actually need, especially as they get older. When alcohol is introduced, it acts as a diuretic, pulling fluids from your body. This concentrates your urine, making it more acidic, more irritating, and far harder on your bladder and prostate. The result? More inflammation, more swelling, and yes, more prostate growth over time. I remember a man named George, a retired mechanic in his early 70s. He was a strong, independent guy, still active, still sharp, but he came to me exhausted. He was getting up 5 times a night to pee. He felt drained, frustrated, and embarrassed. His diet wasn't terrible. He walked every morning. But as we talked, he casually mentioned his nightly 2-finger pour of whiskey, something he'd done for years. When we gently cut that back, just a few nights a week off, more water, and a healthier evening routine, his symptoms began to ease. Within a month, he was sleeping through the night 3 or 4 times a week. and he told me I feel like I have control again. That's what this is really about, control. Alcohol doesn't have to be the villain, but it has to be respected. If you're drinking regularly and you're experiencing signs of an enlarged prostate, I urge you to take a break. Cut back. Replace that drink with herbal tea, sparkling water, or a calming routine like reading or stretching. Your prostate needs a break, and your body will reward you for it. You don't have to give up everything you enjoy, but you do need to start making choices that support your health, not silently sabotage it, because every small decision adds up, especially when it comes to the prostate. And if you think alcohol was surprising, what I'm about to share next might be even more eye-opening. It's the one thing most people consume every single day, often multiple times, without ever realizing how much it disrupts hormones, fuels inflammation, and speeds up prostate growth. It's hiding in your morning routine, your snacks, even in foods that claim to be healthy. Let's take a closer look. Food. 5. Refined sugar and simple carbs, pastries, soda, white bread, pasta. If there's one food that has quietly made its way into nearly every American household and almost every meal, it's sugar. And not just the kind you sprinkle into your coffee, but the kind that hides in plain sight. It's in your cereal, your white bread, your pasta, your sauces, your snacks, your drinks. Even foods marketed as healthy are often loaded with hidden sugars and simple carbs. And if you're a man over 60 who's starting to notice changes in your bathroom habits, your energy, or your sleep, it's time we talk honestly about how these foods are affecting your prostate. I know this is a tough one. We all enjoy a sweet treat now and then. I've had plenty of patients over the years tell me they couldn't possibly give up their favorite desserts. And I'm not saying you need to swear off sugar for life, but I am telling you this. Refined sugar and simple carbohydrates are directly contributing to prostate enlargement. And the sooner you cut them back, the sooner your body can start to heal. Here's what happens inside your body. When you consume refined sugar, whether it's from pastries, soda, white rice, or pasta, your blood sugar spikes. Your body responds by releasing insulin to bring it back down. But over time, especially if your diet is heavy in these foods, your cells stop responding properly to insulin. This condition, called insulin resistance, creates chronic inflammation throughout the body, and your prostate is especially sensitive to that. Inflammation is one of the primary drivers of benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. It causes the tissues to swell, making it harder for urine to pass through. That's why men who consume high levels of sugar often experience the very symptoms that bring them into my office. Hesitation at the start of urination, weak flow, a constant feeling of pressure, and waking up multiple times a night. But there's another problem. Refined carbs also trigger weight gain, particularly abdominal fat, which acts like a hormone-producing factory. Belly fat increases estrogen and reduces testosterone, a shift that further encourages the prostate to grow. You might not notice it immediately, but over time the gland becomes larger, more inflamed, and more disruptive to your quality of life. I remember one of my patients, Dan, who came in for his yearly checkup feeling frustrated. He said, "Doc, I haven't changed much, but I feel like I'm falling apart." His sleep was disturbed, he had to plan his errands around access to a restroom, and he just didn't feel like himself anymore. When we went over his diet, it became clear. Between his morning muffins, white bread at lunch, pasta at dinner, and a can of soda or two every afternoon, his sugar intake was sky high. He didn't think much of it because none of it felt extreme. But that's the danger. It all adds up. Together, we worked on replacing refined carbs with complex ones. Oats instead of sugary cereal. Brown rice instead of white. More fresh vegetables, more lean protein. Within 2 months, he came back and said something I'll never forget. "It's the first time in years I've been able to sleep through the night without getting up once." His energy improved, his confidence returned, and it all started by saying no to the foods that were silently working against him. This is what I want for you. Not perfection, not some extreme diet, but awareness and choices. Because every bite you take either feeds inflammation or fights it. And when you reduce refined sugar, you allow your prostate the space to calm down, to stabilize, and to stop growing. So if there's one thing you take from this, let it be this. Those daily sugar hits, your sweetened coffee, your white bread, your pasta, your dessert after dinner, might feel small, but they're doing real damage, and you deserve to know that. Now, we've talked about the 5 most common foods that quietly cause prostate swelling, but knowledge alone won't change your health. It's what you do next that matters most. In the next section, I'll walk you through exactly what steps you can take starting today. Simple, powerful habits that will help you naturally protect your prostate, reduce discomfort, and take back control of your life. Let's get into it. 6. What you need to start doing today. Now that you've heard about the 5 foods silently fueling prostate enlargement, it's time to talk about the most important step of all, what you can start doing today. Because information is only as powerful as the action you take with it. And when it comes to your prostate, waiting often leads to more discomfort, more medications, and fewer choices. But the good news is this: you don't need to wait. You can begin the healing process right now, right here, with simple, intentional steps. First, you need to get honest with yourself about what's in your kitchen, your fridge, and your daily habits. I tell my patients, this isn't about guilt and it's not about judgment. It's about awareness. Every strip of bacon, every scoop of ice cream, every fast food stop, every sugary drink, it all adds up. And it all sends a message to your body, especially to your prostate. The first step is eliminating the top 5 culprits we've discussed. If you want to reduce inflammation, rebalance your hormones, and give your prostate a fighting chance, then these foods must go. That means cutting out processed meats like hot dogs, bacon, and deli slices. It means dialing back on dairy, not just milk, but the heavy cheeses and creamy yogurts too. It means letting go of the fried foods and saturated fats that clog your circulation and inflame your tissues. It means looking hard at how much alcohol you're drinking and whether it's worth the nightly disruption to your sleep and the swelling in your pelvis. And yes, it means facing the sugar, the bread, the pasta, the pastries, the soda, all the simple carbs that seem harmless but are quietly fueling the problem you're trying to fix. This might feel overwhelming. I understand that. Change isn't easy, especially when it's tied to years of routine, comfort, and even emotional reward. But I've seen firsthand how powerful small changes can be. I've had patients in their 70s who thought it was too late. Men who had accepted that waking up 5 times a night or struggling to urinate was just part of aging. But once they made these shifts, once they started giving their body the right kind of food, their symptoms improved. Their confidence returned. They slept deeper, they moved easier, they felt stronger. So today I challenge you to do just one thing. Start. Start by removing one harmful food. Swap your morning toast with white bread for a bowl of oats. Replace your processed lunch meat with grilled chicken. Choose water over soda. Skip the fried food for a day. Each small decision you make in favor of your health creates momentum. And that momentum adds up faster than you think. Also, don't underestimate the power of hydration. Most men over 60 walk around mildly dehydrated every day. When your body is dry on the inside, your urine becomes more concentrated, irritating your bladder and prostate even more. So drink water consistently throughout the day. Your urinary system relies on it. Alongside that, move your body. Even a 20-minute walk each day increases circulation, lowers inflammation, and supports hormone function. It doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be consistent. And finally, keep your mindset in the right place. You are not powerless, you are not broken. The fact that you're watching this, listening, learning, that already makes you different. It means you're the kind of man who wants better, who's willing to take control rather than wait for another prescription or another uncomfortable night. The foods you eliminate today might be the very reason you don't need another pill tomorrow. And that's worth everything. But we're not finished yet. There's one final message I need to leave you with, something that brings all of this together and reminds you why this journey matters. So before you go anywhere, stay with me, because what I'm about to share next may just change the way you think about aging, your body, and what's still possible for your health in your future. 7. Final thoughts. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for caring, for paying attention to your health, for being open enough to ask hard questions and brave enough to face honest answers. Because what we've talked about today isn't just about food, it's about freedom. The freedom to live without pain, without embarrassment, without losing pieces of yourself to a condition that so many men silently endure. We started with a warning about 5 common foods that are quietly contributing to prostate enlargement. Foods that feel normal, even comforting. Processed meats that show up in your sandwich or your breakfast plate. Dairy products you've trusted for years. Fried foods and fatty cuts of meat that taste good but wreak havoc under the surface. Alcohol that helps you relax but slowly disturbs your sleep and inflames your system. And sugar, the most innocent-looking culprit of all, that shows up in your coffee, your bread, your snacks, and quietly fuels inflammation, hormone imbalance, and prostate growth. One by one, we unpacked how these foods affect your body. Not in abstract terms, but in real ways you can feel, in the way you urinate, in the way you sleep, in the way you carry yourself through the day. And we talked about what you can start doing right now, removing these triggers, choosing better fuel, hydrating your body, moving more, sleeping better, healing naturally. I've seen it too many times to call it a coincidence. When a man takes charge of what goes into his body, something powerful happens. He gains back control, his symptoms ease, his confidence returns, and he doesn't feel like he's fading into old age. He feels like he's waking up again. I remember a man named Arthur, 72, a former teacher who came to see me frustrated, tired, and convinced this was just his fate. He had tried medications. He had followed advice from different places, but nothing made a real difference. When we looked at his lifestyle, the pieces fell into place. He wasn't overeating or living recklessly. He just didn't realize that the foods he had grown up on were no longer supporting his body. They were pushing it out of balance. Together, we made changes, one step at a time. Less dairy, less red meat, no more sugary cereal. He started walking every morning even when it was cold. And 3 months later, Arthur came back with a smile on his face and said, "I feel like myself again. Not younger, not perfect, but in control." And that's really what this is about. Not chasing perfection, not chasing youth, but regaining control. Regaining peace, sleeping through the night without interruption, going about your day without worry or urgency, feeling strong in your decisions, proud of your discipline, and confident in your body again. You don't need a perfect diet. You don't need to live like a monk. What you need is awareness, consistency, and the belief that change is still possible, because it is. No matter how long you've struggled, no matter what age you are, the body is incredibly resilient, especially when you stop putting in what hurts it and start giving it what heals. You have more power than you think, and you're not alone. There are millions of men just like you, trying to do better, trying to feel better. What sets you apart is that you stayed, you listened, and you're ready to act. So as we close this video, let me leave you with one final message. Your health is not behind you, it's still in front of you, and every small change you make from this day forward is a vote for the life you still want to live. Thank you for being here. Take what you've learned today and put it into action. Your prostate, your peace of mind, and your future are worth every bit of effort. I'll see you in the next video, stronger, wiser, and in control.